In February, we are gifted with not only a Nintendo Partner Direct, but also an upcoming Pokemon Presents. Pokemon is in a state where, to be blunt, a lot of the fanbase is starting to lose faith in the games that are released. Sword and Shield underwhelmed with its setting, story, and graphics. Scarlet and Violet haven't fixed the performance issues that have plagued those games since its release. Legends Arceus has been the exception in terms of reception, as many players enjoy the gameplay loop that it provided, but even Legends was plagued with performance issues. So that brings the question, what can we expect from the Pokemon Presents? There are several rumors and theories swirling around, but from each Pokemon Presents, we've gotten at least one new mainline game, and I expect no less from this Presents. So I'll do my best to try and predict what will be shown here, broken up into three categories: safe, longshots, and copium. Safe is, of course, ones that we can expect to see, things that we've seen before, patterns that in the past we can easily slide in here and say, okay, this is what's going to be shown here. Longshots are more 50-50 titles. These are more rumors and whispers in the winds, kind of things that, from a pattern perspective, you can kind of see and go, yeah, I could see that being announced there. And copium being the stuff of dreams, the Hail Marys, it would be amazing if this was shown, but things that really aren't feasible or a little bit hard to be realized. But you know what, let's get to it, and let's get to our predictions here. Alright, so we're going to go with the safe bets, and this one is actually going to be like the shortest segment on here, because I'm just going to clump all these together into one. These are games that I myself don't play, so if I don't spend a lot of time or don't really go into the details of it, I do apologize, but these are games that haven't really interested me, but I know they have a fan base out there. But to put it out there, updates to Pokemon Cafe, Sleep, Masters, and Unite. All of these games and all the Pokemon Presents have gotten some kind of update, some kind of new character announced or DLC announced. They've gotten something on here, so I would not be shocked if these receive updates. I'm actually kind of expecting these to actually take up like at least 5 to 10 minutes of the presentation. But yeah, just lumping all these together, updates to all 4 of these games, I think is like the only safe prediction you can make for Pokemon Presents. Alright, so now for a little bit of the more interesting ones. We call these the long shots. These are games that are, again, like a 50-50. Like, these are things that could happen, but at the same time, probably not. It's kind of on the fence thing. And I'm going to start off with one of the longer of long shots here, and that is that we finally get the Game Boy Pokemon games on the Nintendo Virtual Console. I feel like it's been long enough that we are actually due for these to be put on here. I know the original Pokemon games were not put on the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Shop until 3DS came out in 2013. We got those in 2018, so about 5 years after the 3DS launched. It's been 7 years since, we're coming up on 7 years since the Switch launched, and the fact that these games weren't on the initial lineup for the Game Boy section of the Nintendo games for Nintendo Online, I feel is like a missed opportunity, but Game Freak and the Pokemon Company work in weird ways. But I think it's definitely time that these games get put on there now. I'm not saying we're getting all of them, from Gen 1 to Gen 3. I see us getting red, blue, maybe yellow. So when I say like the Game Boy games, I mean just like the Gen 1 games. I see those getting put in there, and hopefully, part of the reason they've taken so long to get these released is because they're working on making trading online functional. So that is the first of my long shot predictions, and I think it could be time because these could serve as a great stopgap between the end of Scarlet and Violet DLC, which was just completed with an epilogue back in January, to potentially the big thing they'll announce at this, which I'll go over more on in our second long shot prediction and our copium prediction. But for the second long shot prediction, black and white remakes. Now, when I say black and white remakes, I mean these are going to be done in the style of the Ilka, Brilliant Diamond, and Shining Pearl remakes, which, I'm going to be honest, for myself, probably the most disappointing games I've played. I know a lot of fans of Gen 4 were really disappointed with the remake that they got, unlike Fire Red, Leaf Green, Heart Gold Soul Silver, and even Alpha Sapphire Omega Ruby. It felt like we got stripped down versions of the remake. It felt like more was taken out than was put back in, add in an art style that not a lot of people were fond of, and we easily got the worst remakes of any Pokemon game. And it hurts me to predict this because I could see them giving Ilka another go at it. Now, it would be great if they learned from their mistakes of what people did not like about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and actually went forth with another approach, the same approach that they've had for the other remakes, and go, okay, let's not strip away, let's actually see what we can blend in, what we can put together to make this a complete experience of the remake for Black and White. But we'll see. Just given the rushed game development cycles that Pokemon currently has, it's hard to make those games run as efficiently as they are, because we're no longer in a handheld system like prior Pokemon games were. These are games that are running on full functioning home consoles. And, unfortunately, Game Freak hasn't shown us that they're capable of making full-fledged home console games. Maybe Ilka. They've done great work in the past before, and now with potentially a new director could make these work, but I know I'm getting worried about something that may not even get announced. But, it's just a little worrying considering the effort that was put out last by these guys. Alright, and finally, for probably the most fun one to talk about, because you know what, we call it copium. These are where we let all our dreams come true, where we pour out what we really want, what would truly make us happy, what would truly put us over the moon. And staying with the subject of Black and White, I feel like we are going to get something for Unova. Just going off of the cycle of how they go from it. One, I can't believe that it's been 13 years since Black and White was released here stateside. Was it 13? Yeah. 13 years since Black and White was released stateside. Wow, that's a long time. I feel like something is going to get announced regarding Unova. And honestly, these two next predictions would be how I feel we could truly celebrate that region. And the first one is, honestly, Legends Unova. I know a lot of people are speculating that Johto would be the logical next pick for the next Legends game. As with Sinnoh, it is the area with the most ancient lore in the series. I mean, Johto's whole identity was honoring the past, and they have the city structure that feels really, I don't want to say ancient, but like older. It feels like a more traditional area, and that would be a really good pick for the next Legends game. I think Unova would be a way better pick though, because not only does the prospect of seeing what the original fused form of Kyurem, Reshiram, and Zekrom was let me gather my thoughts. Seeing what the original dragon has been something that a lot of fans are almost begging to see, even just like a glimpse of it. And add in the two brothers who representing truth and ideals in that world. It has a setup for a great story. You have the desert ruins in conjunction to the abyssal ruins. What is the story behind that? What who lived there? What Pokemon were there? What do they have to do with the region? You have so much in there lore-wise for Unova that you can really dive into with a Legends game. So that's like one of my first picks. I think Legends Unova would be a phenomenal way to celebrate Black and White. And then the other Copium pick, one that is like not one that I think a lot of people would agree with, and that's totally fine, but to me, this would be one of the best ways to celebrate Unova, because those two games within their generation are like Black and White 2 are like the only kind of true sequels in terms of carrying over characters and world building from one game to the other. Like I know from Red Blue to Gold Silver, there was some more world building and some characters, but like it's the next generation, right? Like the idea was to move forward, but I'll just get to the point instead of rambling on here. Black and White 3. Generation 5 games have arguably the best stories and characters in the franchise. N is the standout of standouts, where the only battle that we all put above N in terms of memorable and excitement is the battle with Gold from Gold, or not Gold, the battle with Red from Gold and Silver. Like N is such an amazing character, and to see like a true conclusion to his arc, but also the protagonist from the original Black and White, and even the Black and White 2 protagonist, like seeing that world continue to grow, I think would be phenomenal. And honestly, like to me, I just want to see a lot of the stories kind of wrapped up. I want to be in a Unova that doesn't like confine you or block away certain areas. I want to be able to start off in either West Unova, where you started off in Black and White 2, or the southern portion of Unova, where you started off in Black and White 1, and just be able to explore the whole region without having roadblocks, without having to be the Elite Four first, and then the rest of the game opens up. Like having that open with the Black and White 3, I think I personally would be all for. A lot of people have made it clear that a 1-to-1 remake isn't something that we're clamoring for, especially if it strips away the improvements made by a third game from that generation. Taking away the quality of life improvements that Platinum and Emerald did to their respective games for the sake of honoring the originals as they released isn't what players want. Being able to expand on those worlds is what players want, I should say. What made Heart Gold and Soul Silver stand out was the addition of the Battle Frontier from Platinum, the story beats added in from Crystal, the expansion of both Johto and Kanto. Black and White 3 could be an answer to that, a full-fledged Unova map that doesn't block away the sections, that lets you see how the characters have progressed. Bianca could be the new professor, Sharon could be the head of the Elite Four. There's so much that you can do with the characters on there, and we've already gotten a small taste of it, of how Unova has continued to progress forward. In the Scarlet and Violet DLC, we know time has progressed there. Let's see how the region's changed. Alright guys, and thank you all so much for joining me again. Those were my predictions for the upcoming Pokemon Presents. Do you have anything you want to see? Anything you want to predict? You want to call me a fool for believing what I think would be cool for Unova, or for even thinking Unova would get reference? Let us know in the comments below, and thank you all so much for watching. I'll do a follow-up video to this and hopefully have it published on Wednesday after the Presents airs on Tuesday. Gather my thoughts and break down what was shown on there and what excites us the most. But until then, this has been Miguel from Anime Secrets. We'll catch you all on the next video. Take care, guys.